IELTS reading tests a variety of reading skills, and although the question formats are the same, the text styles are different for academic and general training. You will be given around 60 minutes to answer 40 questions, and there are 3 different reading texts to read. The number 1 way to improve your IELTS reading scores. In this video, I'll show you the best way to improve your IELTS reading score at home for free. The IELTS reading test requires you to answer 40 questions in 60 minutes, so you must be fully prepared before you book your exam. In this video, I'll show you exactly how to get the score you need in IELTS reading. Top 5 tips for IELTS reading. 1. Timing is key. You will have just 1 hour to complete 40 questions, so you must use your time wisely. I advise my students to finish each section in 20 minutes. This will give you 16 to 17 minutes to read and answer the questions and 3 to 4 minutes to transfer and check your answers. You'll find more help with time management here. 2. Read the instructions carefully. Many strong candidates lose marks in IELTS reading because they don't read the instructions properly. Pay close attention to the instructions you're given to avoid losing easy marks. 3. Don't panic. Some of the questions will be easy, and some will be extremely difficult. I knew many IELTS teachers who had to check the answers to some questions because they are so challenging. The wrong thing to do is spend a lot of time on a hard question. If the answer does not present itself, move on to the next one. You can always come back to the difficult questions later. You must stay calm and keep your nerves under control. Accepting that you are probably not going to get all the questions correct might help you control your nerves and timing on test day. 4. It's really a vocabulary test. In many ways, IELTS reading is more of a vocabulary test than a reading test. The reason is that you need a wide range of vocabulary to understand the passages of text given to you. You must also be aware of synonyms and paraphrasing if you wish to identify the information required to answer the questions correctly. 5. Don't expect to understand every word. If you don't understand a word in the test, you should look at the words and sentences around it for clues about its meaning. Alternatively, you can move on and forget about it. Focus on the words that are related to the question and don't worry about the words you don't understand. For more help with improving your reading skills, click the image below to join my free IELTS reading challenge. IELTS reading question types. Click on any of the links below for a full step-by-step guide to answering each IELTS reading question type. Short answer questions. This post will help you answer short answer questions more effectively by looking at a sample question, identifying common problems, and giving you a strategy to use on exam day. Multiple choice. This article will help you answer multiple choice questions more effectively. We look at common problems and how to fix them. Summary completion. In these kinds of questions, you will be given a summary of information from the text, and there will be some gaps in that summary. Matching sentence endings. In this IELTS reading question, you will be given a list of incomplete sentences with no endings and another list with possible endings. Your job is to match the incomplete sentences with the correct ending based on the reading text. Sentence completion. In this question type, you will be given several sentences with gaps in them and asked to complete the sentences with words from the reading text. Check out this article to learn how to do so strategically. True, false, not given. True, false, not given questions require you to identify if the information in a text is true or not. You will be given a number of factual statements and have to check in the text whether they are true. This is probably the most difficult question in the reading paper. Matching headings, tips, and strategy. You may be asked to match headings to text sections in the IELTS reading test. This type of question tests your ability to understand the main idea of each paragraph. Labeling a diagram. In the IELTS reading test, you might get a question that asks you to label a diagram. This post will show you examples, look at common problems, and provide you with a strategy for answering these questions effectively. Matching information to paragraphs. In this kind of question, you are asked to match statements to paragraphs in the reading text. This post will look at example question types and show you my step-by-step strategy for matching information to paragraphs. Ielts reading essential information. In the Ielts reading exam, you must answer 40 questions in 60 minutes. The test is also divided into 3 sections of increasing difficulty. There are 2 types of exam, academic and general training. Before you begin preparing, you need to find out what score do you need, and whether you need to take the general training Ielts or academic Ielts exam. You can get this information by contacting the institute that requires your Ielts certificate. What's the difference between the academic and general training reading tests? The types of questions you receive in the academic exam are the same as the types you get in the general training exam. However, the passages of text that you must read are different. General training students will have to read a combination of long and short texts of both a general and work-specific nature. In comparison, academic students must interact with 3 long texts of an academic nature. Ielts reading time management. One of the most challenging parts of Ielts reading is completing it within the time that you are allocated. You will be required to answer 40 questions in 60 minutes, so you must be fully prepared before you book your test. Learn how to complete Ielts reading in less than an hour by reading our blog post here or watching my video lesson here. Reading practice. It's important that you use reliable materials when practicing Ielts reading. This is the only way to get an accurate idea of your current ability. The post below will show you how to find reading practice materials and improve your practice sessions from home. Ielts reading practice. The links below will direct you to multiple reliable sources of Ielts reading practice papers. Cambridge Past Papers Books, British Council, Ielts Essentials, IDP, Ielts Reading Lessons. The secret to getting a 9 on your reading test. Top 10 reading tips. How to improve your reading skills. How this month went from a band 6.5 to 9 in Ielts reading. How to improve your Ielts reading with this simple technique. See the interactive tool below for the most commonly asked questions we receive about.
This post will help you answer short answer questions more effectively by looking at a sample question, identifying common problems and giving you a strategy to use on exam day. Short answer questions. These questions are often called comprehension questions and they are very common in English classrooms all over the world. Most students have answered these kinds of questions before and for this reason, most students tend to do quite well with them. Despite this, there are some common problems that cause students to make mistakes and throw away marks. Short answer example. Source: Cambridge English Ielts Past Papers. Common problems. Synonyms and paraphrasing are the biggest problems. Students who are unaware of these tend to look for keywords in the text that directly match those in the questions. This wastes lots of time, and good time management is essential in the reading test. Word limit can also cause people to throw away easy marks. If you write over the stated word limit, you will get the answer wrong. You don't have to read every word of the text. These questions test your ability to skim and scan for specific information. You also won't have time to read every word. Students often see a word they don't understand in the question or text and either panic or spend too much time thinking about the meaning. Some students try to write full sentences. Your answers don't have to be grammatically correct, so stay under the word limit. Skills tested. Ability to skim the passage quickly and understand the overall meaning. Ability to scan for specific information. Understand the question being asked. Identify keywords. Think of possible synonyms and paraphrases of keywords. Tips. The answers appear in the same order as the text. Look at and understand the questions first before you start reading the text. What is the question actually asking? You will probably be given a word limit, for example no more than 3 words and slash or a number. Make sure you don't go over this limit. As stated above, the answers do not need to be grammatically correct, just short answers. Don't give your opinion, just the answer in the text. Keywords in the question will normally be nouns or noun phrases. When you find your keywords, always think synonyms and paraphrases. Strategy. Read the instructions carefully and note the word limit. Read and understand the questions. Think about the information you will need to find. Underline any keywords in the questions. Think about synonyms or paraphrases for these keywords. Find part of the text question 1 relates to. Read question again. Read the section containing the answer carefully and identify answer. Continue with next question and repeat until finished. What are the different question types? It is important that you familiarize yourself with each different type of question. Please click on the links below for common problems, tips, and a strategy for each type. They are as follows. Sentence completion. Summary, note, table, flowchart completion. Diagram label completion. Multiple choice. Matching information. Matching headings. Matching sentence endings. True, false, not given. I hope you found this article useful, and if you have any questions or comments please let us know below. About Christopher Pell. My name is Christopher Pell and I'm the Managing Director of Ielts Advantage. I started Ielts Advantage as a simple blog to help 16s. This article will help you answer Ielts reading multiple choice questions more effectively. On both the academic and general Ielts reading papers you are likely to be asked multiple choice questions, MCQs. Your job is to simply choose the correct answer from a list of possible choices. This post will look at example questions, discuss the reading skills required, discuss common problems, give you tips and advice, provide you with a strategy to use on exam day. Example questions. There are 3 different types of MCQ question. You will either have to choose 1 answer out of 4 options, choose 2 answers out of 5 options, choose 3 answers out of 6 options. The first option is the most common. You may also have 2 different question forms, either completing a sentence or answering a question. Here is an example from the academic test. Source: Cambridge English Ielts past papers. In this example, you have to choose 1 answer from 4 possible options and the question requires you to complete the sentences. Here is an example from the general paper. Source: Cambridge English Ielts past papers. Reading skills. MCQs test your ability to understand the main ideas contained in a text and then look for specific information. You will need to quickly identify the main idea in order to locate the correct section of the text. When you do this, it will seem like 2 or 3 of the options could be the correct answer and you, therefore, must read in much more detail to find the specific information that gives you the correct answer. Common problems. Reading the text before the questions. If you do this, you are reading blind because you are not sure what you are looking for. You also waste time because you will have to read the questions and then read the text again, so you have just wasted your time on the first reading. Not answering questions. This seems like an obvious one, but it would shock you how many people don't answer the question at all. Being tricked by the examiner. Examiners love to try and trick you with distractors. Distractors are things that look like the correct answer but are actually incorrect. When you locate the correct section in the reading text, there will appear to be 2 or 3 plausible correct answers. A very common trick is matching lots of keywords from the question options to parts of the text. Just because there are lots of matching keywords doesn't mean it is the correct answer. Also look at the context of the whole sentence and any qualifying words like most, all, always, sometimes. Not reading the whole sentence. The first part of a sentence might look correct, but the second half of it might change the meaning. Words like but and however can change the meaning of a whole sentence. Examiners know you are trying to get the answers as quickly as possible and will try to trick you in this way. Not reading the text carefully because there are so many distractors, some of the correct answers will appear to jump out at you. If you don't read the text carefully, you will choose the incorrect answer. Take some time to really understand the meaning of each sentence. Top 10 tips. Read the questions before you read the text. You will often be able to eliminate 2 of the 4 answers, and this leaves you with 2 choices. Think about the difference in meaning between these 2 choices, and this will help you get the correct answers. If you are unsure of what the difference is between 2 or 3 sentences, it can help to rephrase them in your own words. If you are running out of time or you really don't know the answer, have a guess. You will not lose marks for wrong answers, and you have a 25% chance of getting the correct answer just by guessing. Don't be tricked by the examiner's distractors, especially keywords from the questions that look the same as the text. If you don't know anything about the topic, don't panic. It is a reading test, not a test of your knowledge. Try to predict the correct answer before you read the text. This will help you find the correct answer. Before deciding on your answer, always go back and carefully read the questions before making your final decision. The answers will be in the same order as the text. You might be asked about both facts and opinions. Facts are things that are always true or cannot be disproved, but opinions are just what people think. Strategy. This is my suggested strategy. There are many different strategies, and you should use the one you feel comfortable with. You can also adapt this strategy to what suits you. Read the questions carefully. Skim the text to get the general meaning. Underline any keywords in the question and think about any synonyms that might appear in the text. Read the choices and underline any keywords. Think about the difference in meaning between the different choices. Predict the correct answer. Read the text and using keywords and synonyms locate the part containing the answers. Read that part of the text very carefully, thinking about the difference in meanings. Think about not only which options are correct but how the other options are wrong. Go back and read the question again and mark your final choice. About Christopher Pell. My name is Christopher Pell and I'm the in summary completion question types. You will be given a summary of information from the text and there will be some gaps in that summary. You will either be given a list of words to fill the gaps with or asked to find the answers in the reading text. Your job is to insert some of the words from the list into the gaps, or if asked, to fill the gaps with words from the text. There will be more words in the list than required to fill the gaps. All of the information contained in the summary will also be contained in the reading text, but they will use synonyms and paraphrasing, so don't expect to see the same words. Summary completion questions test your ability to understand the general meaning of the summary, to scan for the correct information in the text, to be able to identify synonyms and paraphrases. This post will look at example questions, discuss common problems, give you tips and advice, provide you with a strategy to use on exam day. Summary completion examples. Below is an example of a question that asks you to fill in the gaps with words from the reading text. Source: Cambridge English Ielts past papers. Below is another example, but this question is asking you to choose the correct answer from a list of options. You should notice that there are more options than answers. Answers. Source: Cambridge English Ielts past papers. Summary completion common problems. This question does not expect you to have a detailed understanding of the text. Some students lose lots of time reading the whole text and trying to understand everything. You don't need to do this, focus more on the summary in the question. Some students read the summary and then look for the exact same words in the reading text. You are unlikely to find these because the examiners use synonyms and paraphrasing. A common mistake is to ignore grammar rules when completing the summary. If the sentence does not make sense grammatically, then you have the wrong answer. The examiners also try to trick you by putting a word from the text as one of the options. Some students recognize this and think this is the correct answer. It is probably wrong because the answer will normally be a synonym rather than a matching word. Summary completion tips. Try to predict the answers before you look at the options or the text. This will help you spot the correct answer. Should the gap be filled with a verb, noun, adjective, or adverb? If your answer makes the sentence grammatically wrong, then you have the wrong answer. Look for synonyms and paraphrases in the text rather than words that directly match. Don't spend too much time looking for the answer to one question. If you can't find it, mark what you think it might be and move on. Focusing on the easier answers is a better use of your time. The answers normally come in the same order as the questions. If you get a list of words, think about the ones that can't be the correct answer because of meaning or grammar. You can then eliminate these words. Summary completion strategy. This is my suggested strategy. There are many different strategies and you should use the one you feel comfortable with. You can also adapt this strategy to what suits you. Read the question carefully. Note how many words you can write, normally 1, 2, or 3, and if you should get the words from the reading text or a list. Skim the summary and try to understand the overall meaning. Try to predict the answers before you look at the reading text. Also, think about the word type, noun, verb, adjective, that should be included. If you have a list of words, try to guess which 2 or 3 the answer might be. Pay attention to words that collocate well with the words in the sentence. Identify which part of the reading text the summary relates to. Scanning for synonyms from the summary will help you do this. Look at that part of the section more carefully and choose the correct answer. Remember to be careful with synonyms. Check to see if your word makes the sentence grammatically correct. About Christopher Pell. My name is. In Ielts reading, might be asked to complete a matching sentence endings question type. In this question, you will be given a list of incomplete sentences with no endings and another list with possible endings. Your job is to match the incomplete sentences with the correct ending based on the reading text. This is not one of the more common questions but should be studied all the same. You are being tested on your understanding of how the ideas in the sentences are connected to the main ideas in the reading text. This post will look at example questions, discuss common problems, give you tips and advice, provide you with a strategy to use on exam day. Example. Example. Source: Cambridge English Ielts past papers. As you can see above, there are a number of incomplete sentences and you must match them with the correct endings. There will always be more options than you actually need. In the exam, there are normally 5 to 6 incomplete sentences and 8 to 9 optional endings. Matching sentence endings, common problems. Lots of people think that they can answer these questions by using logic and grammar and they don't look at the reading text. They think this will save them time and they can work out the answer quickly just by looking at the answers and matching the sentences that make the most sense. Don't do this. It is a test of your understanding of the reading text more than a test of how sentences generally go together. The examiner will try and trick you by connecting ideas in the reading text to endings that are not the correct answer. Remember that you are matching incomplete sentences to endings, not endings to the text. Many people look for the exact words contained in the question in the reading text. The examiners will probably use synonyms and paraphrasing instead of exactly the same words. Don't waste your time looking for words that exactly match with the text, instead look for synonyms and paraphrases. For a more detailed look at paraphrasing and synonyms, check out our post on sentence completions tips. Tips for matching sentence endings. The answers are in the same order in the text as they are in the questions, so the answer to question 2 will be after the answer to question 1 and so on. Locate question 1 first and then you know where to begin. Try to predict how each sentence will end before you look at the endings. Start with the incomplete sentences first before you look at the endings or the text. There are more endings than required, so looking at all of these in detail is a waste of time. Think of synonyms and paraphrases that the examiners could be using instead of exactly the same words. All of the sentence endings appear in the text, but you don't need to read all of them, just the ones that you decide to match with the incomplete sentences. When highlighting keywords, it is often a good idea to highlight any names, including place names, or dates. These are often easy to find in the reading text. Don't just match words. Make sure the meaning in the reading text matches. Spend more time on the first question because this is the most difficult. You have lots of different options for the first question and it will take you more time to work out the answer. The last question should take you much less time because you have fewer options to choose from. Strategy for matching sentence endings. This is my suggested strategy. There are many different strategies and you should use the one you feel comfortable with. You can also adapt this strategy to what suits you. Read the question carefully. Read the incomplete sentences first and don't look at the endings yet. Try to understand what they mean and highlight any keywords, especially names, places or dates. Predict what the endings might be before looking at them. Think about what word type, verbs, nouns, adjectives, adverbs, makes the sentence grammatically correct. Look at the endings but not in too much detail. Try to see if there are any obvious answers. Eliminate endings that definitely cannot match. Think about grammar, collocations, and meaning. Match the endings you think might be correct. Write 2 or 3 options if necessary. Find the correct part of the reading text for each incomplete sentence. Be careful with synonyms and paraphrases. Understand the meaning of that part of the text and choose the correct answer. About Christopher. In sentence completion question types, you will be given a number of sentences with gaps in them and asked to complete the sentences with words from the reading text. These questions are as much vocabulary tests as they are reading tests because they require you to be aware of paraphrasing, using different words to repeat a sentence so that it has the same meaning, and synonyms, words with the same or very similar meanings. More on these below. This post will look at example sentence completion questions. Discuss paraphrasing and synonyms. Discuss common problems. Give you tips and advice. Provide you with a strategy to use on exam day. Example question. Source: Cambridge English Ielts past papers. As you can see, there are 3 incomplete sentences that we must complete. Note that it says no more than 2 words from the text for each answer. This means that we can write 1 or 2 words only. If we write any more than this, we get the question wrong. Also, note that it says from the text. This means that we can't change the words from the text. The word limit and whether we should use words from the text or not can change from question to question, so read them carefully. To access more example reading questions for both the academic and general papers, visit the Ielts.org test sample page. Paraphrasing and synonyms. In order to do well on the Ielts reading test, you have to understand what paraphrasing and synonyms are because Cambridge use them so much in the reading and listening tests and expect you to use them in the writing and speaking tests. Paraphrasing is simply rephrasing or saying the sentence again, so that it has the same meaning, but with different words. Example. Most men drive cars to work. The majority of males use automobiles to get to their jobs. As you can see, both sentences mean exactly the same thing, but I have used different words. I have used mostly synonyms to do this, i.e. words with the same or similar meanings. Examples. Most, majority. Drive, use. Cars, automobiles. Work, job. Why is this important? We have to understand how Cambridge actually make the Ielts reading tests in order to be successful. The people who write the tests take a piece of writing and they then use paraphrasing and synonyms to make many of the questions. Therefore, if you don't understand this, it is like walking in the dark with no lights. Understand it and suddenly your world becomes brighter. The table below shows just some examples from an Ielts reading paper. As you can see, paraphrasing and synonyms are used in many of the questions, and if you were looking for words that exactly match those in the text, you wouldn't find them. Instead, be aware that you are looking for meaning, not words. Common problems. As you have probably already guessed from the passage above, the main problem is students trying to match words in the question with exactly the same words in the reading text. Instead, you should be looking for words that mean the same thing, i.e. paraphrases and synonyms. Another common problem is not reading the instructions properly and then writing too many words or not writing the same words as in the reading text, as discussed above. Finally, students often start reading the text before the question. This is confusing for most people and wastes time. Read the questions first. Sentence completion tips. Check true, false, not given questions requires you to identify if information in a text is true or not. You will be given a number of factual statements and you have to check the text to see if they are true or not. This is probably the most difficult question on the reading paper. This post will look at example questions, discuss common problems, define true, false, and not given, give you tips and advice, provide you with a strategy to use on exam day. In this article, when I refer to statements, I am talking about the questions, not the text in the main reading article. Example: true, false, not given question. This sample is taken from Ielts.org reading samples, and more sample reading questions can be viewed on that link. Source: Cambridge English Ielts past papers. As you can see above, you will be given a number of factual statements and asked to look at the text and decide if the statement is true, false, or not given. Common problems. The biggest problem here is the not given option. Most students are not used to answering questions like this, and it causes them lots of problems because they are not sure what to look for. They also spend too much time making sure that it is not given, and this affects the rest of their test. Students also fail to understand exactly what each statement means and therefore cannot identify if it is true or false. Many focus on keywords instead of understanding what the statement as a whole means. Another common mistake is identifying keywords in the statements and then trying to find words that exactly match them in the text. You can do this, but more often the words will be synonyms. Finally, some students fail to understand exactly what true, false, and not given actually mean and get confused. Now let's look at solving these common problems. What do true, false, and not given mean? The most important thing to remember is what the words true, false, and not given actually mean, and therefore what Ielts wants you to write. If the text agrees with or confirms the information in the statement, the answer is true. If the text contradicts or is the opposite to the information in the statement, the answer is false. If there is no information or it is impossible to know, the answer is not given. True means that the meaning is the same. It is just similar, then it is false. Remember that we are dealing with factual information, so there is no room to say it is similar or nearly the same. Lots of students have argued with me during practice and said the statement is true because it kind of means the same. There is no kind of with these questions, only facts. Very important: just because an answer is not given does not mean there are no words in the statements that match words in the text. This is something that confuses people. If words match, then it must be true or false, right? Not really. This is not a good way to think about these questions because there probably will be matching words for not given answers, they just don't have enough information to answer the question as a whole. Top 10 tips. Ignore anything you already know about the topic and don't make assumptions. Base your answers on the text only. Identify any words that qualify the statement, for example, some, all, mainly, often, always and occasionally. These words are there to test if you have read the whole statement because they can change the meaning. For example, Coca-Cola has always made its drinks in the U.S.A has a different meaning from Coca-Cola has mainly made its drinks in the U.S.A. Be careful when you see verbs that qualify statements, such as suggest, claim, believe and know. For example, the man claimed he was a British citizen, and the man is a British citizen mean two different things. There will be at least one of all three answers. If you don't have at least one true, false, or not given, you have at least one answer wrong. Don't skim and scan the text to find the final answer. You will have to read the appropriate part of the text very carefully in order to understand what the author means. Don't look for words that exactly match those in the statements. You should also look for synonyms. Remember that you are matching meaning, not words. If you can't find the information you are looking for, then it is probably not given. Don't waste time looking for something that is not there. If you have no idea what the answer is put not given, you probably have no idea because the answer is not there. Answers are in the same order they appear in the text. Do not waste time going back. Keep on reading. Yes/no